At 6:47 a.m. on November 3, 1944, Private First Class Michael Donovan crouched inside what remained of a shattered bakery in Metz, France. Through a narrow gap in the crumbling wall, he watched as German positions took shape out of the heavy morning fog. He was 22 years old, had spent 6 months in combat, earned 14 confirmed kills, and, not once, had he seen a German sniper before that first crack of incoming fire. Metz had been turned into a fortress. The Germans had dug in deep, more than 200 defensive strongpoints surrounding the city. Donovan belonged to the 5th Infantry Division, ordered to take Metz building by building. His assignment was simple on paper, but brutal in reality. Find enemy snipers before they found you. The weapon wasn't the issue. His M1903 Springfield rifle, fitted with a scope, could hit a target from 800 yards with deadly accuracy. His training wasn't the issue either. Donovan had graduated top of his sniper class at Fort Benning. The real problem? Every single time, the German snipers saw him first. The enemy had mastered a tactic called the double position. 2 nests, 30 to 50 yards apart. They'd fire from one, then shift to the second before the Americans could even trace the shot. By the time Donovan aimed back, the German had already fired again. From a new angle. It was deadly math. Donovan needed 12 to 15 seconds to acquire a target, calculate distance, adjust for wind, and fire. The German needed the same time. But he started earlier, already locked on while Donovan was still searching. The result was always the same. They shot first. By early November, Donovan's division had lost 23 American snipers in Metz, 23 of the best marksmen in their units. Each one had died the same way, shot while looking for a target they never saw. Donovan's first partner had been Corporal James Bradley, a farm boy from Nebraska who could nail a running rabbit at 200 yards. They'd worked together for 3 weeks. Bradley had 9 kills to his name. On October 18, 1944, Bradley was peering through his scope toward a factory when a 7.92 mm Mauser round struck him in the head. 400 yards out, he died instantly. Donovan never even spotted the shooter. The German sniper had already been watching, had already aimed, and had fired before either American realized they were being hunted. His second partner, Private First Class Robert Chen, joined later that same month, October 29th. Chen, from San Francisco, sharp-eyed and steady-handed, had racked up 12 confirmed kills. 8 days into their partnership, Chen was scanning a German trench through his scope when a bullet tore into his chest. The round pierced his lung. He lived for 40 excruciating minutes, drowning as medics tried to save him. Donovan later found the sniper's hide, buried deep in rubble 350 yards away. The German, of course, was long gone. The pattern never changed. American sniper sets up. Searches, gets seen, gets shot. Command kept repeating the same advice. Stay mobile, change positions, use concealment. But that didn't fix the problem. By the time an American sniper spotted movement, the German had already been watching for minutes, had already measured the distance, had already pulled the trigger. Donovan studied it, frame by frame in his mind. He realized that while he scanned forward through his scope, he was blind everywhere else, behind, to the sides, anywhere outside that narrow tunnel of vision. And that tunnel, that scope, was the problem. Through an 8x magnification scope, your field of view shrinks to just 8 degrees. You can see far, but not wide. It's like looking through a toilet paper roll. Everything outside that narrow circle simply doesn't exist. German snipers exploited that blindness mercilessly. They didn't fire from where Americans looked. They fired from the edges, from flanks, from angles no one thought to check. And by the time an American turned to search a new sector, the German had already fired. After Chen's death, Donovan spent 3 sleepless nights replaying the problem. How do you spot threats you're not looking at? How do you watch behind you while focusing ahead? How do you stay alive when the enemy always fires first? Then an idea struck. Not from a manual, not from command, but from his shaving kit. A 4x6-inch mirror, standard military issue. What if he could use it to see behind him, without turning, without moving, without giving away his position? The thought was insane, unauthorized, dangerous. Tampering with sniper gear could get him court-martialed. But Bradley was gone. Chen was gone. 23 American snipers were dead. Donovan wasn't ready to be the 24th. If this story has your attention, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because what happens next changed how American snipers fought. For the rest of the war. These are the stories that deserve to be remembered. Donovan labored alone the night of November 2nd. The building his unit occupied had once been a hotel. Now it lay half-collapsed, shattered walls, broken ceilings, glass strewn everywhere. The smell of smoke and cordite hung heavy in the cold air. He found a quiet corner on the 3rd floor where the rubble formed a crude shelter, took his rifle from its case and rested it on a makeshift table fashioned from splintered furniture. It was a November night that bit through his uniform. His breath clouded in the dim beam of a flashlight. From his pack he pulled the small mirror from his shaving kit, a 4x6-inch metal-framed piece, scratched but reflective. He also had rolls of electrical tape scavenged from signal wire, a pocket knife, and wire cutters. Not precision engineering tools, but sufficient for what he hoped to do. His rifle, an M1903 Springfield with scope, the optic mounted roughly 3 inches above the barrel in steel rings. Donovan needed the mirror positioned so he could see it while looking through the scope, yet without obstructing the sight picture or the rifle's operation. He tested possible placements, holding the mirror at different heights and angles, simulating how he'd look through the scope. Too high, he'd have to lift his eye and lose the target. Too low, it would block his view. Too far forward, the reflection angle was wrong. After 20 minutes of trial and error, he found the sweet spot. On the left side of the scope, angled at 45 degrees, roughly 8 inches forward of his eye. From there, the mirror sat in his peripheral vision while he peered through the scope. A quick glance left would reveal what lay behind him, without turning his head or betraying his position. His hands trembled as he started the installation. Not from cold, but from the knowledge that what he was doing broke military regulations. Modifying issued precision gear without approval could mean reassignment at minimum, or a dishonorable discharge at worst. But Chen's face haunted him, gasping, blood foaming at the mouth, dying while medics fought to keep him alive. Chen had been watching ahead when the German shot from the side. If he'd seen that flanking angle, perhaps he'd have lived. Donovan cut tape into strips, wrapped cushioning around the mirror frame, then lashed padding on the scope tube where the mirror would attach. The tape provided grip and shock absorption. The mirror needed to survive recoil, keep its angle, and not rattle. 40 minutes of fiddling later, the mirror slipping twice, clattering to the floor and forcing him to start over, the job was done. He peered through the scope, glanced left. The mirror showed the doorway, the hallway, the rear arc. It worked. He wrapped the tape around the frame 3 more times, checked the rifle's balance, the extra weight was negligible, and verified the scope's 0. The crude addition didn't affect accuracy. It looked improvised, obvious to any officer inspecting the weapon. Donovan resolved to keep the rifle in its case, only drawing it for missions. If an inspection came, he hoped nobody would notice. At 0450 hours, he cleaned up his tools and packed away the scraps. In 5 hours, he'd moved to a new post in the ruined industrial quarter where German snipers prowled. 3 American snipers had been killed in that sector in the previous week. Tomorrow he would test whether a mirror could actually change his odds. At 0647 on November 3rd, Donovan moved into the ruined bakery. The south wall had been blown out by artillery, exposing the interior to the street. Across from them, a factory complex, perfect sniper ground, sat 400 yards away, its windows shattered, floors gouged, rubble piled high. The Germans held that sector. His partner that morning was Private Sam Martinez, 19, from Texas, A new sniper with only 3 weeks of experience and 0 confirmed kills, but with instincts Donovan trusted. Martinez noticed the mirror on Donovan's rifle when they prepared their position and asked what it was for. Donovan answered simply, "Survival." Martinez didn't press further. They took a corner room on the second floor. The bakery's old brick oven provided solid cover. A crack in the wall gave a narrow view of the factory. Donovan fashioned a rest from broken furniture. Martinez covered the doorway, watching for infantry while Donovan scanned the factory through the 8X scope. Through that optic, the factory resolved into a tight cone. At 400 yards, the scope's view was only about 50 feet wide. Everything outside that cone was invisible. That blindness was what had gotten Bradley and Chen killed. But now Donovan had the mirror. While sweeping the factory with his scope, he could see the mirror in his peripheral vision. The street behind, the ruined buildings across, possible flanking routes. Not a perfect 360-degree view, but vastly better than nothing. At 07:23, Donovan saw movement. Third floor, a damaged window, a dark shape shifting behind the frame. He held the aim, watched methodically. The figure moved again, definitely human. A German soldier setting up a position. Likely a sniper. He estimated 410 yards. Wind calm. An easy shot. He was ready to fire when a flicker in the mirror caught his eye. Behind them, across the street, a building he'd cleared the night before showed motion. Without breaking his cheek weld or turning his head, Donovan focused on the reflection. Another third-floor window, and in it a muzzle, the faint glint of a scope. A German sniper was aiming at their position. He'd likely been watching Donovan for minutes and was about to shoot. This was how Bradley had died. Focused ahead, struck by a flanker no one saw. But Donovan saw it. He stayed perfectly still, kept the Springfield trained on the factory, and whispered to Martinez. "German sniper, behind us. Third floor, left window. He's on us." Martinez eased his M1 Garand into position, found the window, and confirmed the target. "I see him," he breathed. Donovan counted down. "On my count. I'll take the one in the factory. You take the one behind us. 3, 2, 1. Donovan's Springfield cracked. The German in the factory flinched, hit in the chest, vanished from view. Martinez fired. His Garand's round punched through the flanking window. The German there slumped forward. 2 shots, 2 kills, 5 seconds total. Donovan cycled the bolt, ejected the spent casing, loaded another round, and scanned through the scope. The mirror showed nothing behind them. They were clear. Martinez, adrenaline still high, muttered, "That German had you dead. How did you see him?" Donovan explained the mirror and how it sat in his peripheral vision. Martinez stared and then said simply, "You need that on every sniper rifle in the battalion." That morning's fight lasted 4 hours. Donovan's team removed 6 German snipers. Donovan accounted for 4, Martinez for 2. The pattern repeated. Donovan would pick out a forward target through the scope, briefly check the mirror, and Martinez would watch any flanking threats the mirror revealed. 3 times the mirror exposed German snipers trying to approach from angles Donovan wasn't watching. Each time Martinez engaged the flank while Donovan took the forward shot. The teamwork worked. The mirror effectively gave them near 360-degree awareness. German ambushes failed. Word spread quickly. Other sniper teams wanted to know how Donovan's pair had avoided casualties while killing 6 Germans. Martinez told the story. That night, Donovan installed a mirror on Sergeant Frank Wilson's rifle. Wilson, 28, a Montanan and lifelong hunter who'd lost 2 partners to flank shots in 3 weeks, watched closely, asked about the angle and attachment, and then tested it himself. After a glance, he grinned and offered Donovan payment. Donovan refused. "Don't get killed," he said. "That's payment enough." By the next morning, Wilson was back, raving about how the mirror saved his life as his team engaged German snipers near the cathedral. He told every sniper he knew. By November the 8th, Donovan had fitted mirrors to 9 rifles. The idea spread from man to man. Some improvised with broken glass, polished metal, or chunks of chrome from wrecked vehicles. The mirrors didn't have to be perfect. They only needed to reflect. The battalion's kill ratio shifted. In October, American snipers and Mets were being killed at a rate of 2 Americans for every German. By mid-November, the ratio had swung to 4 German snipers killed for every American lost. A dramatic reversal. On November 10th, Captain Robert Hayes, who led the battalion sniper platoon and had 12 years in the Army, conducted a routine inspection. He climbed to Donovan's position, spotted the mirror attached to the Springfield, and froze. "What is that?" he asked. Donovan's stomach tightened. He braced for the reprimand, for a court-martial. Martinez answered first. The mirror was an unauthorized modification that let snipers detect flanking threats. It had saved lives all week. No one had authorized it. They'd improvised it themselves. Hayes examined the mirror, checked the angle, looked through the scope, and understood immediately what it did. Then something Donovan never expected happened. "How many rifles have this modification?" Hayes asked. "9, sir," Donovan replied. Hayes looked Donovan in the eye and then said words that stunned him. "By tomorrow morning, I want every sniper rifle in this battalion to have one. That's an order. I'll handle the paperwork. You focus on keeping my men alive." Hayes had made the mirror modification official, shielding Donovan from charges and endorsing the change because it saved lives. That night, Donovan worked faster than he ever thought possible, recruiting others, showing them how to fit the mirrors, teaching the correct angle and attachment method. Some used tape, others used wire. One man fashioned leather straps from a gas mask. Methods varied, but the principle remained the same. Give snipers peripheral vision while they scouted forward through a scope. By November 12th, every sniper in the battalion carried a mirror. The modification was no longer secret. It was standard practice across the unit. German observers noticed. Intelligence reports in November recorded unusual American behavior. Snipers were countering flanking shots and engaging enemy positions they shouldn't have been able to see. The tactical balance had shifted. Some German teams adapted, moving to longer-range attacks trying to hit from 600 to 800 yards. Others attempted multi-position attacks to overwhelm American awareness. But pairs of mirror-equipped snipers could still detect movement and cover each other. Nothing passed them unobserved. By late November, German snipers and Mets often avoided direct fights with American sniper teams. The advantage had moved to the Americans. The siege of Metz dragged on through the final weeks of November. The cold deepened, the skies grayed, and the ruins filled with the stink of cordite and wet stone. By November 22, 1944, the city was nearly in American hands. German resistance had fractured. Isolated nests, snipers operating without coordination, artillery firing sporadically. For the 5th Infantry Division's sniper units, the mirror had become routine. You could walk through their encampments and spot it instantly. A dull flash of light glinting off the left side of almost every rifle scope. Crude, improvised, taped in place with field wire and rags, but effective. Donovan had never intended it to spread this far. He'd only wanted to survive, but word of mouth had turned his invention into a quiet revolution. Other battalions heard about it, then regiments. Within 2 weeks, mirror attachments appeared across Patton's 3rd Army sniper detachments. No official memo, no blueprint, just soldiers teaching soldiers, one rifle at a time. The Army takes notice. On December 3rd, Donovan was ordered to report to headquarters. He assumed he was in trouble, the kind of trouble that ended with paperwork, not survival. His rifle, mirror still attached, drew stares as he walked through the hall. Inside the command post, Major John S. Klein, the battalion operations officer, examined the weapon. He turned the rifle in his hands, looked through the scope, tilted the mirror, and said flatly, "This thing's saving lives, but it's not regulation." Donovan nodded, expecting reprimand. Instead, Klein continued, "We've forwarded your design to the 3rd Army's Ordnance Section. They want to test it for official issue." Donovan blinked. He hadn't filed a report, written a description, or even drawn a diagram. Somehow the story had reached higher command. Hayes had likely sent a memo up the chain. Klein offered a brief smile. "You just might have changed sniper doctrine, son." That afternoon, 2 ordnance officers took measurements of his rifle. They interviewed Donovan about the concept, asking for practical data. Field durability under recoil, optimal mirror size and placement, average reaction. Time reduction, number of enemy engagements survived due to increased awareness. Donovan's answers were simple and honest. "I don't know about the numbers," he said, "but 23 of us died before this thing. Since then, none." They wrote that down. By December 7th, the Ordnance Corps had formally logged it as an auxiliary optical field awareness device, a bland, bureaucratic title for what was essentially a shaving mirror taped to a scope. Within weeks, dozens of sniper units across France and Luxembourg were copying the setup. Reports flowed in, kill ratios improving, survivability rising. The Army didn't issue mirrors directly. It simply circulated a field note recommending peripheral visual aids for sniper use. Soldiers took that as permission to keep doing what Donovan had done all along. The irony, but the Army didn't credit Donovan by name. The report listed the modification as field innovation, origin undetermined. He didn't care. He wasn't doing it for medals. But Martinez, his spotter, was furious. "You saved half this unit, Mike. They should put your name on the damned thing." Donovan just smiled, cleaned his rifle, and said, "As long as they use it, that's enough." In truth, he'd seen too much death to worry about recognition. The mirror had given him what medals couldn't: peace of mind. For the first time in months, he felt like the odds were fair again. The end of Metz. By December 13th, the Battle of Metz was officially over. German resistance ended with 20,000 prisoners captured and countless more dead or wounded. For the Americans, it had been one of the hardest fights in France. Among the 5th Infantry Division's snipers, casualties had dropped drastically. Not a single sniper was lost after the mirrors became standard. Donovan's mirror had turned the tide in a quiet, invisible way. No explosions, no fanfare, just the survival of men who would otherwise have died unseen. But war moves fast and credit moves slower. Donovan never saw his name in a report, never received commendation. The innovation spread like folklore. "Some guy in Metz figured it out," they'd say. The story mutated, retold in a dozen versions. A corporal in Patton's army, a sergeant from Ohio, an engineer with an idea. Donovan's name got lost in the noise. When the war ended in May 1945, he came home to Chicago, took a job as a postal clerk, and quietly disappeared from military records. He never spoke publicly about what he'd done. His Springfield rifle, mirror still attached, stayed in a box in his attic for 40 years. Rediscovery. In 1987, Donovan passed away at the age of 65. His daughter, cleaning out the attic, found the rifle. The mirror was still taped to the scope, the edges yellowed with age. She almost threw it away but noticed a faded label. PFC-M. Donovan, Metz, Nov, 44. She donated the rifle to the U.S. Army Infantry Museum at Fort Benning. Curators initially cataloged it as a modified Springfield sniper rifle, unknown field adaptation. It wasn't until 1993, when a museum historian traced 5th Infantry Division records, that Donovan's reports and Captain Hayes's memos were rediscovered. The museum updated the display. Springfield M11903 Sniper Rifle, Field Innovation, Private Michael Donovan, 5th Infantry Division, Metz, France, 1944. It became part of the Soldier's Ingenuity exhibit, examples of improvised battlefield engineering that changed survival odds. Legacy. Donovan's invention never received a patent, never appeared in official ordnance blueprints. But the principle lived on. By the Korean War, American sniper manuals included references to peripheral awareness devices, small reflective attachments used to monitor blind zones. By Vietnam, some Marine Corps snipers fitted rearview prisms or angled reflective strips near their optics. Even today, modern sniper doctrines, particularly urban operations manuals, include the concept of rear sector monitoring, often assisted by digital optics or helmet-mounted cameras. The roots of that practice trace straight back to a cold morning in Metz and one man with a mirror. Closing reflection. History rarely remembers the quiet fixes, the subtle inventions that save lives without noise. Michael Donovan wasn't a general, nor a strategist, nor a hero by medal count. He was a field soldier who refused to die the same way his friends had. His contribution never made it into official briefings, but every man who walked away from Metz alive owed him something, though few ever knew it. Soft, reflective narration. Wars are often defined by their grand battles, by tanks, bombers, and generals. But sometimes victory turns on something small, a moment of human clarity, a scrap of tape, a mirror, and that's how one man, in the ruins of a French bakery, quietly changed the way America fought its silent war, one reflection at a time. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more forgotten moments like this, make sure to subscribe. Every day we bring to life the stories of ordinary soldiers who changed history in extraordinary ways.